If you're looking for your happy place that straddles the border between the suburbs and city life, stick around to find out why Memorial just might be the place, well, the ideal place for you to call home. Why is Memorial considered one of the best places to live in Texas? Back when Memorial Drive was just a simple country road, it ran alongside a number of farms. Now, the long thoroughfare that this neighborhood gets its name from bisects a very vibrant residential community that's nestled right between the busy Katy Freeway and the ever-roaming Buffalo Bayou. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at the map and just get a lay of the land. Memorial is divided between three sections, essentially. You've got Memorial close in, the Memorial Villages, and then Memorial West. So we're gonna start off with Memorial close in. What you can see is next door to one of the country's largest urban parks. And that's definitely an unexpected perk of living in Memorial close in. So clocking in at 1,466 acres, Memorial Park is actually larger than Central Park. So think about that. It's massive, and it's just so centrally located, and it's just amazing to have that kind of outdoor space right in the middle of this big metropolis that we call Houston. So the park has got tons of paths. You can go running, walking, you can ride your bike, you can roller skate, whatever suits your fancy. I used to have a group of Canadian friends that loved to play hockey, and in the warmer months, which is the majority of the year here, they would go play roller hockey in Memorial Park. There is a golf course, so if you like to golf, there's an amazing golf course. You've got playgrounds, there's even restaurants, you've got just tons of things to do. And right now, they're in the process of doing this massive makeover to the park, which we'll probably even do a whole nother video on that because it's so big. There's land bridges, and it's huge, and it's just gonna make things even better. So there's also the Houston Arboretum that is within the park's boundaries, and that's a Arboretum and Nature Center, and it has 5 miles of trails. So that's like untouched, preserved nature. They have classes so you can take your kids in the summertime and they can learn all about nature. I know people that have done their wedding photos there, that kind of thing, but it's just a beautiful place if you just want to get out and go take a hike, and you don't have to drive very far. It's right there in Memorial Park, so it's super close to everything. Memorial close in is also convenient to the Galleria, so if you like to shop, you can shop to your heart's content. It's got every major store you can think of. You're also close to the River Oaks Shopping District, which is a very sophisticated, very upscale shopping district. And then you're close to downtown Houston, and it's relatively short commute time to just about anywhere in Houston that you're gonna work. Currently, the homes that are on the market range from about $799,000 for a smaller patio home on up to $19.5 million. Now the $19.5 million house has about 26,000 square feet, and it sits on just under 3 acres, and it's got its own maze garden. So it's quite decked out. The average sales price in Memorial close in is just a smidge over 2.6 million. So it's not for the faint of heart, shall we say. It's definitely the most substantial in the price point of the three areas. So next up, we're going to talk about Memorial Villages, which is just east of the inner loop, and it's just west of Memorial close in. It's right next door. This cluster of 6 independent villages, they're actually independent cities, started to blossom right after I-10 was built in 1968. And to avoid being annexed by the city of Houston, these 6 communities, which had grown around the area's small farms, decided to incorporate. Each has its own mayor and city council, can't talk, but they share some of the same municipal services and fall within the Spring Branch ISD boundaries. So, which is a great point of this neighborhood, a great feature is that the schools are really, really good. The villages are in the sweet spot right between urban and suburban living, so you get the best of both worlds. The memorial villages consist of, you've got Spring Valley, which is on the Spring Branch side, which is just north of I-10. You've got Hillshire, Headwood Village, Bunker Hill, Hunters Creek, and Piney Point. So given their rural beginnings and their penchant for independence, it's no surprise that each of the villages still feels like a small town, which is really cool. A great example of this is their farmers market that goes on Saturdays. It's like very well attended, and they've got dozens of vendors, and it's considered one of the best in the city. And it has that small town feeling. So most residents own their own homes. The public schools, again, we've already touched on that, are highly rated all throughout Memorial because they're in the Spring Branch Independent School District. And it's just a solid home base that's convenient for most commuters. The thing that resonates the most with me is that one of my closest friends growing up, she grew up in Hunters Creek, and she jokes, she lives in Austin now, but whenever she comes back to Houston to see her family, she always jokes that like every political sign that's up in the neighborhood of who's running for city council or mayor or one of the villages, something going on, is basically the who's who of Memorial High School from when she graduated. It's a place where people grow up, they go away to college, they do their thing, they work, they get married, and they come back. And they come back to these communities because the roots are so strong, and it's such a good place to come and raise your family, and people stay after their kids leave because the lifestyle is just so good. So, that being said, I think it's just a great place to live. I have a penchant personally for the villages because it really is the best of both worlds. So urban development now surrounds the Memorial Villages, much to the pleasure of its inhabitants who still enjoy its small forested areas, but they also like to take advantage of the high-end shopping, the delicious restaurants that are in the neighborhood's three kind of major mixed-use meccas. So you've got City Center, which, I remember back in the 80s when they were putting the Beltway 8 in, building that road, which is the second loop around Houston. So you have the 610 loop, we'll pull up the map here and show you. You've got the 610 loop, and then you have the Beltway. So they actually put the Beltway in, and they had to tear some houses down in that Memorial area in order to put in what was then called Town and Country Village. And that was the big sort of new shopping mall, and it was great. Well, eventually they wound up tearing that down and putting in City Center, which is fabulous, of course. There's still Town and Country Village next door, which is more of a strip center, outdoor, but high-end shopping experience. So you've got Memorial City Mall, which is just a little bit down the road on I-10, which is a massive mall. You've got City Center, which has everything you could possibly want to do. And they even have a farmer's market there as well. And they do all kinds of fun events on the weekends with live music, and it's a neat place to go. You should definitely check it out. House prices in the villages range from, about $709,000 for a early 1950s ranch style house that's been updated, right? It's not necessarily a tear down, with roughly around 2,200 square feet, on up to $17.5 million. And that's for an 11,000 square foot house on around 2.5 acres. The average sales price is just under 21 million. I'm sorry. I wish. The average sales price is just under 2.1 million. So it's a little bit lower. Memorial close in, their average sales price is 2.6 million. And so moving out to the villages, you can save yourself $500,000 on average and still have this great lifestyle. Living in Memorial Villages gives you the peace, quiet and privacy of an out-of-the-way neighborhood and the vibrancy and conveniences of a big metropolis. No compromise here. All right, Memorial West. Memorial West is more accessible, I think, for a lot of families, just given the more affordable price point as compared to Memorial Close In and the Memorial Villages. The schools are excellent, so again, it's very popular for the schools as well as the ample lots and the, forested areas. So the lots may not be as big in Memorial West as they are in the Villages, for example, or Memorial Close In, but they're still very generously sized, and it's just a beautiful, wonderful area. So it's, as I've kind of stated before, it's an ideal neighborhood for families. It also has kind of a serene, secluded feeling to it, the neighborhoods. Memorial West makes a great home base for those people that are working in the energy corridor. So everybody who's in that energy sector, it loves to live there. It's very, very popular. And we have a lot of expats that move in and out of that area as well, just that because they're in the energy industry. Makes for a very, very short commute, which is important in Houston where we have a lot of traffic and you still want to be able to spend time with your family after work hours. Many of the area's original one-story ranch homes developed in the 1960s and 70s have been replaced with new construction. So you can expect to see a lot of large Georgian, Mediterranean, and just traditional two-story brick style homes that have been either thoroughly modernized or they're brand new construction. Memorial's the kind of place where kids, play out in their big yards in front of those beautiful homes with the big trees. And it's not unusual to see families out strolling in the evenings. There's even a 22-acre park called Nottingham Park, and they've got a big splash pad, and you'll often see kids playing out there. Memorial is a very wooded area with plenty of protected park areas, which is one of the big draws, I think, because you're in the middle of this big city, but it feels like you're out in the country. And you've got the bayou, so you've got all these protected park areas. Terry Hershey Park isn't as well known as Memorial Park, but for the people who live out in that area, wowza, right? It's pretty amazing. It's a few miles to the west of Memorial Park, but it's no less beloved. And it's got 6 miles of hike and bike trails, which run right along the bayou. So it's beautiful, it's scenic, and it's very well used. There are also 2 massive nature preserves. You've got Bear Creek Park and George Bush Park, which are also close by. So a little caveat, I just want to, I always like to give you a little dose of reality on these videos, because while Memorial West is a wonderful place to live, and historically it never flooded, it was not in a flood zone. But after Harvey, the reservoirs were so full that they had to release them. And so a lot of homes in that Memorial West area flooded, not because of the actual storm itself, as a result, but not during the storm, but they flooded because of the release of the reservoirs. So, Houston as a whole and the whole metro area has been working on developing better drainage so that never has to happen again. It was just a nightmare for a lot of people because they didn't have flood insurance. And that's exactly why we advise all of our clients to get flood insurance, because you just never know. There just can be these freak things that happen, and it's always better to be safe than sorry. And if you're not living in a flood zone, flood insurance is very affordable. So we're going to talk about the real estate aspect just real quickly, because I'm sure you want to get an idea. This third area, I've told you it's a little bit more affordable, and it absolutely is. So there are a few older townhome communities where you can get a decent size 2 to 4 bedroom townhome, so they're attached, for under $330,000 and still be in these magnificent schools. I have had several clients over the years, and even a very good friend who found themselves suddenly being a single parent, wanting to keep their kids in the same schools, but not able to afford living in the big, $1 million+ house anymore. And so moving into this specific community I'm talking about happens to be called Memorial Club. There are others. But it's a diamond in the rough. Really enabled them to be able to keep their kids in the good schools, maintain all of their, friendships. And so there are little spots like that that are good to know about. If you're not in the, million plus price range, it's very accessible. The single family home prices range from 440,000 on the low end for an updated patio home, and they go now that's like a house built in the 1970s, right? So you're not talking about a large house, but they go on up to about 5.75 million, and that would run you like an 8,300 square foot that's on a lot that's just almost an acre. So not as massive as the homes in the villages and close in, but still large, and still, you can get a lot it's an acre or less, close to it. So pretty good deal and pretty accessible, I think. So that explains Memorial in a nutshell. If you'd like to know more about Memorial and you're thinking about, making a move, please reach out to us. We're here to help you. If there are any more topics that you'd like for us to cover, drop it down in the comments. We'd love to engage in more conversation with you about it. If there are videos that you'd like to, us to do on different areas or different topics, let us know. We love helping people, and we'd love to hear from you.